We've all heard enough of everyone's best practices in software development. And today we're here with Thea Flowers to hear about her worst practice. So Thea, please tell us more about yourself and what kind of software you write.
Sure. I am an open source hardware and software engineer. I do all kinds of open source stuff. I am currently building synthesizers, which is great fun. I've been programming for a long time. I've been building hardware for not anywhere near as long. So there's always interesting challenges there. And I'm guilty of a lot of crimes when it comes to engineering, okay? But the one that I would like to share with y'all today is that I don't use package managers. I work on every part of the stack. I write the firmware in C. I write the the manuals in Markdown. I write the interactive bits in JavaScript, like everything. When you're writing firmware, you want to know exactly what's going into your build, right? If I need something, I'll just copy it into my source tree. And then there's nothing special about it. If I need to make changes, I will make changes. Because sometimes I have to cut parts of libraries out just so I can fit it into memory. And it's the same for web stuff, which I think would probably upset more people, because I don't want to have to constantly fight with updating my libraries every time I want to work on something or need to change a minor thing. I avoid dependencies like the plague, and then when I need them, I will literally just copy their source into my source tree.
What should you be doing instead? This is what is the actual, what people tell you to do that's the right way to deal with dependencies and package managers and all that stuff? If you were to change your ways and what would that other way be?
The way that people would usually do this is they would have packages. They would publish packages, write out your dependencies in a file and have it pull them from the internet or wherever,
right?
Or build a giant mono repo so everything lives in one place and use something like Bazel or Buck or whatever to do all of that. But that requires so much buy-in and so much complexity.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this terrible middle ground where I do none of that and I do everything the worst way possible, but it is also the simplest way possible.
That's great. So then do you check in, do you have there's tools like Git submodules or Git subtree, if people talk about, do you even put source code control on these dependencies, or it's just like files on disk? How does that work?
It's files. I mean, they're in the Git repository for the project they live in, but they're not submodules. They're not anything like that. Because like I said, I often have to go in and change so much about libraries. So
it's kind of frozen in time when you pulled it in. And then do you check in the output files, like the .o files that are the compiler outputs? Are those? No. So those at least you'll do clean.
Yeah. And what's great about that is that I would do that, but instead what I do is I have a copy of the compiler that we use to compile things. So I know I'm using the same compiler every time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So is the compiler in there too as a dependency?
Yeah, the compiler's in there too.
Oh, so it's all in there. Everything, the whole stack is in the directory.
As much as I can possibly shove in
wow.
there, yes.
That's amazing. Has this ever come back to haunt you or somehow hurt your productivity? Do you have any regrets related to
I have any regrets? First of all, I have no regrets. But secondly, there is some challenge when I have common code between projects. Anybody who writes C is going to have sort of a common set of libraries.
Yeah.
And the thing is as I do projects, that gets a little bit out of sync between the two projects. But rarely does that become a huge issue. Sometimes it does when I change the same one in two different projects and they diverge. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I just end up adding new things to it. And that new thing just stays in the project that it was added in until I need it in another project.
Got it. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about your worst practice.
Anytime.